Hi guys, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and today we're going to pull the front tires off, check the bearings in the tires. We're going to pull these kingpins out and check what they call bearings, which are really just a plastic bushing that goes through the frame, bottom and top, that your kingpin goes through. Now these are extremely important to keep your eyes on, because you can't buy these kingpins anymore. They are no longer available. So if you wear yours out, you're going to have to find a boneyard that's willing to sell some old parts. Let's pop the tires off and we'll get a look at them. Now they're pretty simple to get these off. You just pull off your little hubcap. Isn't that cute? And you straighten out this cotter key, maybe. Like I said before, this is my boss's machine, and he did ask me today, how's that tractor come? Oh, I haven't had time to do too much to it. And this one, Mr. Boss, has not been greased very much. There is a grease fitting on the back of these tires that pumps grease in between these bearings. Now, they are bearings, but they are about as cheap as they come. If you do a lot of mowing on a hill, and instead of going up and down the hill, you mow sideways, so your machine is tipped, you put extended amount of stress on these cheap little bearings. A friend of mine mows over at a business that has a large, the whole front of the building is just a big hill and it's all grass. Well, it's too hard to go up and down. He mows sideways. He said, Jim, I put a set of bearings in the front tires once a year. When I start doing my annual maintenance, I got to put bearings in them tires because they're shot. They're not made for side pressure at all. They're just made to stand up and roll. Let me spin this around. We'll get the other tire off. I'll be right back. Okay, we just about got this cotter key out of here. And this one doesn't have much grease in it, Mr. Tim. God, I hope you don't watch these things. You'll probably have a heart attack. The two bearings aren't really that bad. I think I'm going to let them go too. That's another case where if they do get bad, they're simple to change. You see me take them off. Now this is just a back washer that goes on the back. It has a couple washers in it for spacers, and it has a felt seal. So when you do grease it, if you grease it, the felt seal helps hold the grease in. And on the front side, the little hubcap that snaps on keeps the grease in on the front side. So when you got them two on there, just pump that baby full of grease until you see it squirting out somewhere. You want to keep them lubricated. And we'll take the little cap off the other side. Now to get the kingpins out, I guess I'll turn this around so you can see it better. Okay, to get them off, more cotter keys. Just bend that up. I have to admit, these things are really stiff. Nice solid cotter key. I bet that wasn't made in China. Pull that out and there's a little washer. And the linkage will come out of the back. Now, there is a plastic, I'm sure they call this a bearing too. It's just a little plastic bushing that goes on the linkage so when it slides in the kingpin and rotates, it's not steel on steel. So check them out, make sure they're in one piece and they're not wore out. We'll pop this side off. That little bushing stayed in the flange. That looks real good. Now to get these kingpins out, you need a pair of snap ring pliers. Let me spin this back around. This is the top side where your feet go. Now you can tell when these start to go bad when they slop back and forth like this. That's how I found out mine was bad. I can turn this a little. You can see the play. Mine moves back and forth 1/4 of an inch and it's shot. There's nothing I can do with it. To get the snap rings out, you need a pair of snap ring pliers. These are changeable. I can pop these pins and they either go from external to internal. I use them when I take the spindles apart and rebuild spindles. The end of the pliers are turned down. They have a little step on them. You put that in these holes. If you can get them in there. Now when you take this off, be careful. Because a lot of times this will slip after you get it off your shaft, and Lord knows where it's going to go. So the smaller the room you're working in, the better off you are. Now we're going to pull this kingpin out. Now on my kingpin, the reason I have so much slop in it is from where it's wore right down into this bar halfway through from pivoting on the bottom of this. So this structure is junk and so are my kingpins. Just because the little plastic bearing, they call it, wore out and the person I bought it from didn't know it. If I can get this snapped out of here. Okay, this is the bottom bearing. You can see it's got a lip on it. How thick is that lip supposed to be? I don't know. And I don't have a new one to compare it to. So I don't know if I have to order some parts for this anyway. I might just order new ones and put them in. Because the new ones, not only do you have the bearings, you also have a washer that goes down here that acts as like a Lazy Susan bearing when that kingpin is in there and you got all that pressure pushing. This one does not have that. So I don't know if it's just totally wore away and it's gone, or this style never had one. This has a steel one, and I would think it should be plastic. But this part looks in pretty good shape. There's not much wear up here. There is some down here. When that gets wore in really bad, even if you put in new bushings, it's still going to be sloppy. So you want to check that before it gets bad. And this one's the same way. Now this, because it's on the top, won't have any wear on this lip, because all the weight's pushing up when this thing is sitting on the ground. Let me grab my calipers. Okay, the thickness of this lip is about 64 thousandths. Let's check the bottom one. I got 65 thousandths. So I guess that's right where we want to be. No problem with that. Now when I put them back in, I could switch them. Let me check this. No, that is worn. I do have 65 thousandths on the outer rim, but if you look close, you can tell the inside where it's been setting up against this steel washer is worn down in almost halfway. So that, yeah, that's shot. Them will definitely get replaced. Now let's pull this side off. We're going to pull that snap ring out. You can hear that. That's the pin wiggling back and forth. It tells me either the bushing is worn or the kingpin is. Kingpin looks good. Even the bottom. Usually the bottom of these will get worn real bad because them cheap bearings will lock up and quit turning. So then instead of the inner race just sitting on here and the ball's rotating, it'll get locked up and the inner race will spin on your kingpin and it'll tear this up really bad. Sorry about that. So we're going to order new bushings for this. Yeah, you can see this one. It's wore halfway through. So it wouldn't have been too much longer and it would be wearing into the kingpin and causing problems. And if I can even get this out, here we go. This is the bottom one again. And you can see where it's worn into the flange and the outer edge where it's bigger than the washer that's on the kingpin. So it doesn't rub there. And that shows you what it should be. Them will have to be replaced. So that's it on that. Checking your kingpins and bushings. Simple to take apart. The next thing is we're going to pull the tube out of the rear case and check that bushing to see if that's okay. This one, at least it turns. That's not the platform turning below. This is the shaft rotating in the rear case the way it's supposed to. So I don't have to worry about breaking that loose. When we get to that point, I'll show you what you'll have to do if you do have to break yours loose, and that is a huge problem. The machine he had before this one, it froze up on him, and we had to get it out, and I'll tell you what we had to go through, and it was a lot of work. But we did get it fixed. So I'm going to pull this one out, and we're going to grease it. I haven't decided if I'm going to use regular grease or if I'm going to use some anti-seize lubricant. I don't know which will last longer. I'm assuming the anti-seize will last longer than the regular grease will. So we'll probably go that route. But if you got any questions, shoot me an email. Don't forget to subscribe. I gotta have subscribers to get a deal for us on parts. If you have any questions, send me an email to jimsfixitshop@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I'm pushing probably 2,000 emails by now on guys that I have emailed back and helped. Sometimes emails just don't work. I'll email you and tell you, send me your phone number. I'll call you as long as you live in this country. And believe me, I have 6 other countries that I've hit so far with people needing help. The last guy was from France. So let me know what you need. If you need help on anything. And I guess until next time, work safe, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.